Hi, this is Matt Paulson. Today we're going to look at a controversial topic. Who owns Hagia Sophia and who owns the Temple Mount Al-Aqsa? So clearly in this controversy, there's a double standard. The Bible says, thou shalt not steal. But yet we have lands that are being stolen all the time. We have Israel occupying land, and then we have Turkey that have stolen churches. And now who is the rightful owner? The treatment of religious lands in Turkey and Israel exposes a clear double standard enforced by Turkey and the United Nations. The same human rights principles must apply to both Hagia Sophia and the Temple Mount. These historic sites belong to the original occupiers and builders, and modern law cannot legitimize conquest. Christian foundations of Anatolia are historically documented. The New Testament records the establishment of Christian churches across Asia Minor and in the 1st and 2nd centuries. Cities like Ephesus, Samaria, Pergamum, and Antioch were centers of Christian worship long before Islam existed. Hagia Sophia was built by the Greek Orthodox Church in 537 under the watchful eye of Emperor Justinian. Cora Church, a church of St. Sergius and Bacchus, and dozens of other churches were listed as constructed by Christians in the 4th, 5th, and 6th centuries on the land they owned and cities they built. Military victories and conquest does not create legitimate title, or does it? That's what we're here to decide. Ottoman forces seized Constantinople in 1453 and immediately converted Hagia Sophia into a mosque. Fortunately, there was no United Nations in 1453 to protect the rights of Christians who had legally built and worshipped there for 900 years. Confiscating or stealing churches by conquest is unethical. Military conquest does not erase the basic human rights and natural religious protection rights to worship in the native lands. The Greek Orthodox Patriarchate never ceased to exist in Istanbul and never abandoned Hagia Sophia and never transferred its deed. The building was taken by force and not by law. The United Nations cannot apply modern law selectively. EHR Article 9 says this: every nation has a treaty protecting religious freedom, and this is 1953. It doesn't have applications before 1953 on conquests made by Muslims or Christian forces. Human rights laws in 1953 and Article 9 and modern human rights laws are not retroactive to the 1453. Then they cannot be retroactive to 636 either. Yet the UN treats Islamic buildings as built after 636 AD as protected, while Christian buildings from the 5th century are not. This is hypocrisy. Now let's check the timing of the Dome of the Rock building that we see in this picture. Chapter 17 says Muhammad went on a special journey to a masjid. Why is that special? He's been in many different places. 621 AD, when Muhammad made this supposed journey. 11 years later, Muhammad dies. In 637, Muslims conquered Jerusalem. In 637, Omar builds the first wooden prayer hall. 685 is the first stone Al-Aqsa mosque. But it didn't last long. In 746, an earthquake happened, destroyed the whole building. It was rebuilt in 758. In 1015, the dome collapsed, and they had to repair that. And in 1033, there was a Jordan Rift Valley earthquake and destroyed it all again. So they had to rebuild it in 1035 to 1036. That's the Dome of the Rock that you see today. It's over 1,000 years old. Muhammad never saw it, but it's supposed to be the third most holiest site in Islam. But why? Muhammad never saw it. Muhammad just visited the location. Then we come to one of the biggest churches in Europe, Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia was built in 537, and it lasted until 1453 when it was taken over by Muslims by force. So in conclusion, stealing Hagia Sophia and Temple Mount are acts of conquest that violated the natural rights of the people who built and worshiped there. Under the modern human rights standards established under the jurisdiction of the United Nations, civil and religious lands should be returned to the original religious organizations that constructed them. The UN will defend 8th century Islamic sites. It must defend 5th century Christian sites. If the Temple Mount belongs to the Jews who built there 1,000 years BC, and then Hagia Sophia belongs to the Greek Orthodox Church who built there in 537 AD, there cannot be one law for Istanbul and another for Jerusalem.